If you follow these 13 rules, I guarantee you will become a profitable sports bettor. This rule will make you realize you can't get rich overnight. Let's start with number 13. You need to be able to have realistic and consistent goals. Don't expect to get rich overnight. The goal is to make consistent incremental gains over time, not to hit a huge payout in one bet. Because even if you do hit a huge payout in one bet, what you're going to do is you're going to go back to the well thinking that you could replicate that, and guess what? You're going to probably donate everything that you won from that huge payout over time, chasing another huge payout. So instead, you want to be able to understand that you can get incremental gains, little gains here and there, and they add up over time. Just because these two teams went against each other in the past does not mean that it is a for sure thing of what's going to happen. Number 12, avoid trends and the overconfidence in the trends. Reason why is because they can be useful most of the time in recent stats, but if you're looking at trends of teams that didn't play each other for a minute, that has nothing to do with what's going to happen, in the future, because they could have different players, they could have different coaches. So you have to understand that trends are good to a certain point. Trends are good when you're looking at stuff that happened the same exact year or the year before. If you're looking at something that happened 5 to 10 years ago, that's really not going to have anything on the outcome of what is going to happen in the game that you are trying to pretty much predict what is going to happen. Now, you can make pretty good money live betting. Let's get to number 11. Capitalize on live betting opportunities, because live betting can offer unique opportunities when lines shift based on early game outcomes. However, only do this if you are watching the game and understand how to interpret the in-game dynamics. Sometimes before a game starts, you could have a favorite. In football, it's like -7 or whatnot. Well, right off the bat, if they just come out a little lackadaisical and they end up losing the lead right in the first quarter, you could end up grabbing that favorite. If you were thinking about getting that favorite pregame, well, you could grab that favorite at a lower number, at a cheaper number in-game. That's where there is value. You have to be able to find that value within the live betting, not just sitting there watching the game and just throwing money at a live game. You have to find the value within the game. Once you find value within the game, then you can exploit in-game live opportunities and be able to win consistently betting live. Now, you're going to lose all of your money if you do this. Number 10, chasing losses. This is some of the biggest things when I see with sports bettors, that they empty out their entire bankroll, because it's easy to get emotional and trying to recover your losses by making larger bets. What you need to do is you need to be disciplined and stick exactly to what your strategy is and your unit size. You have to stick to that. If you chase your losses 100% of the time, you are going to lose your entire bankroll. I can guarantee you that. So just make sure next time you think, when you lose a bet, let me double up and try to get my money back off the bet that I placed and that I lost, stop. Just stop and don't even make any more bets for the day. That's the only way that you'll be able to break that dirty habit of chasing losses. If you're a more informed sports bettor, you're most likely going to be successful. Number 9, stay informed and be adaptable. You need to understand the statistics that you're looking at, the analytics that you're looking at, the probabilities that you're looking at. You need to also understand if there's rule changes, because you have to be able to adapt your strategy to what is going on in that current sport. Because if there are rule changes, it is going to affect the way gameplay is and how the outcomes of those games are going to be. So make sure that you stay informed and you adapt to any changes that are made within the sport that you're looking at. Parlays are a sure way to go broke. Number 8, make sure you avoid parlays and exotic bets. While these bets can offer large payouts, they are typically not profitable in the long run due to higher juice and the lower probabilities of winning. You'll see tickets here and there where people put a 12 leg in for $5, they win a couple thousand or whatnot. But guess what? Over the long term, you can't do that. Why? Because you have like a 1% chance of hitting tickets like that. So you're going to lose 99% of the time. And you might never even win another one once you do hit one. So you have to understand that. Betting parlays, betting exotic wagers, it's just not where it's at. That's not where you're going to be profitable long term. You need to be able to straight bet, and you need to be able to stay consistent with your straight betting rather than putting 5 or 6 teams together and trying to hit a miracle. It's not about just looking for winners. You need to also be able to hunt for value. Number 7, make sure that you are hunting for value, because when it comes down to a certain play, This doesn't mean if it has a 100% probability of happening, if it's minus 1,000, that's still not value. You're not going to get paid anything on that. You have to be able to search for value within the lines and within player props, within spreads, within totals. Because if you don't find value and you're just randomly selecting stuff, long term, you're not going to be successful. Your probability and your odds need to correlate, and they need to come together for you to be able to be successful long term. Using these stats can guarantee that you're going to be a winner in the future. Number 6, use advanced stats and understand what you're looking at. Because on the surface, every stat that's available on the surface to everybody is general. Everybody has that information. Some of the sports books give you some information on stats. Doesn't mean that those are going to help you. You need to look more in depth, more in detail than just what the sports books or these certain websites are giving you. For example, you need to look at in football, passing yards. Instead of just looking at the passing defense of who that quarterback's going against, you should look further into how does he play against similar teams that he's going to face today. You have to go in and look for that stuff. They don't give you that type of stuff. They'll give you the general stuff that's, available for everybody, but you really need to go in depth and research. Also, you need to be able to find out, in daily fantasy lineups, how many people are using this certain player? Why are they using this certain player? Is there a reason why this guy's in everybody's lineups as well? Maybe that's a player prop that I should be looking at. These are advanced statistics that you need to dive into. Once you dive into that stuff, you will be more successful day to day. If you don't do this, you won't even know if you're winning or losing. Number 5, track your bets and your performance. You need to keep a detailed record of all your bets, including your wins, losses, and the reasoning behind each pick. Regular analysis can help you identify strengths and weaknesses in your strategy. This is the only way to know if the strategy that you're using is successful or not. If you're not tracking your bets and you're not tracking anything, you really have no idea if the strategy that you're using is working. Yes, you can know by the amount of money you have in your sports book, but you won't know exactly the reasoning behind that strategy if it truly is successful and where the weaknesses are. You will only be able to see that if you are tracking that on a spreadsheet day to day. Betting on your favorite team is always going to kill you eventually. Number 4, make sure you bet with your head and not with your heart. Avoid betting on teams that you emotionally support. Bias can cloud judgment, so always approach each game objectively. You need to have an open mind for every game. You might hate a team that you would never bet on ever, but guess what? If there's value on it, they might be going against your favorite team and you need to bet that team. You can't be emotional in this game because remember this, that team that you're watching does not care about anything that has to do with you. So don't get too emotional about a team that can care less about anything that you do. You're there to make money. You want to make money betting. So you need to understand that do not get emotional over a team. You're there to make money. If there's value in betting against your favorite team, well, guess what? You're just going to have to do that because that's what it comes down to if you want to be successful long term. Betting on 100 different sports can be detrimental to your bankroll if you don't have the right systems in place. Number 3, specialize in specific markets. If you are all over the place and you don't have strategies for every single sport, you have to start out by focusing on one because you have to develop a strategy that works long term just for that one sport. Because if you're trying to bet everything at once and you have strategies that are all over the place that you haven't tracked, that's a recipe for disaster. What you're going to do is you're going to end up losing and donating all of your money chasing different strategies because you don't know which ones really work. So my advice is you have to stick right away. You have to stick to just one and figure that one first. Once you do that, then you move on to the next, and then the next, and then the next. And then you build a bunch of strategies in different sports. That's how you do that successfully. You can make a ton of money just by doing this one small thing. Number 2, shop for the best lines. You have to be able to have multiple sports books to be able to have access to all the lines and also have access to the best odds. You have to. If you were limited to going to one grocery store every single day and had to pay the price that they give you, guess what? If there was another grocery store that was 10 minutes down the road that sold everything half price, well, what would you do? You would go to that grocery store, right? So it's the same thing when it comes to sports betting. There are prices all around each sports book. You have to find the ones that have the best prices. That's where you should be betting. Make sure you have the option to shop for lines, because if you don't, you're going to be at a major disadvantage to being able to make a long-term gain. This is the most important rule to being successful long-term. Number 1, bankroll management. Only bet a small percentage of your bankroll for each wager. Typically it should be between 1 to 3%. This prevents big losses and allows you to stay in the game long-term. If you're betting 1%, you would have to lose 100 units for you to completely clear out your bankroll. So you have to understand that if you are using proper bankroll management, you should never lose your bankroll. Unless you are the worst sports bettor of all time, you should never lose your bankroll completely. And if you have the right strategies in place, guess what? You're going to make small gains, little after little after little, and you're going to gain a monthly income from sports betting. That's why bankroll management is the most important, because if you don't have bankroll management and you're out there betting 25% of your bankroll in one game, guess what? You lose that game, most likely you're going to bet 50% or the rest of your bankroll in the next game, because you are going to severely tilt off of betting 25% and losing. And then guess what? That's a recipe for you to lose your entire bankroll. Now, those are the 13 rules of being a successful sports bettor. As always, guys, I'm Frank with Linemaker Sports. I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, I'm out.